And welcome to the Solidity Insurance Group team call. My name is Marisa Maggio. If this is the first time that you're on one of our team calls, welcome to the team and welcome to the team call. We have a very special guest, somebody near and dear to my heart, one of our reps with Mutual of Omaha. We have Miss Heather LaRou on with us. And before we go ahead and let Heather take it away, so to say, Heather's somebody that I will say as a rep, she's absolutely amazing person. But, above that, in terms of insurance, she's somebody who genuinely believes in Mutual of Omaha. And I think that that's really powerful because when you have a rep who stands behind A, the insurance industry, B, behind the agent, but also behind the company that they're representing, it speaks volumes about that person and also about the company in its own. So, Miss Heather LaRue, welcome to the team call. How are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm
Thank you
so
for the
excited
time.
to share some big news, but I can't just like share big news without sneaking in a little bit of training. So you're gonna have to give me a little bit of time to like give you the rundown before some big news comes. So I'm gonna share my screen here.
Thank you, Heather.
But I promise not to just like speak at you about all of the nitty gritty. You guys can read underwriting guides. I don't need to read those off on a screen for you. That does you no service whatsoever to use me as I am here and you have some time with me. So like I said, my name's Heather LaRue. I'm your sales director at Mutual of Omaha. Hopefully, in the next couple of months, we'll have another person to the team so we can give you even better service. And I don't know if he's on the call. I sent him the information. I also do have a new account executive. His name is Jonathan Luna. So if he's on here, he basically does
Hello.
the behind the scenes stuff. Jonathan is kind of like he keeps me in check. I'm on the road all the time. I'm running around, and he makes sure I get things done that I need to behind the scenes, but he also takes on a lot. So he's a great resource. So I'm happy to introduce him to you guys because I know he's a new face. Some of you might have seen him at convention, but he is on the team. He is onboarded. He is ready to go. But besides Jonathan and I, you also have a sales support team, you have a customer service team, an underwriting team. And, I like to talk about why you should do business with Mutual of Omaha. I know it's important. Brand recognition is important, especially in the final expense world, because so many people are like, oh, Mutual of Omaha. I used to watch them on Sunday nights before dinner because it was the only thing that was on. And there is nothing wrong with leaning into that name and letting them back your sale. Sometimes it's about who you know, not what you know. So it may not be what the product is, but it's, oh, Mutual of Omaha is a name that I know. In this instance, though, you've got the great product and the great name. So like it's like a double whammy. So like don't be afraid to lean into that. We're strong, we're stable, secure. You can trust that with Mutual of Omaha, like we're gonna deliver on our promises. Eric, I will get you Jonathan's information, or if he's on here, we'll let him pop his information in the chat. But we're gonna pay out our claims, and guess what? What is just as important as the product itself is the claim process. And Mutual of Omaha, we pay our claims out quick. If there's no question, no contestability or anything like that, it literally is as easy as the funeral home calling Mutual of Omaha, confirming the death, and we're sending out a check. That claim process is just as important as the product. And so don't be afraid to talk about those things because you guys got to talk about prices. And I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not the cheapest all of the time. I am sometimes. I win some, I lose some. But it's really important to know that there are a lot of things that come with that additional cost, and my prices aren't that much more expensive. It's a trip to Starbucks a week or a month. That's the price difference. And I don't know about you, but for quality protection and an easy claim process, I can have one less, double shot espresso a month to cover that. You've got a dedicated team, not just Jonathan and I, but also our sales support team, which I'll flash those phone numbers up here in a minute. And we've got a simplified issue portfolio that really meets the needs of all of your clients, from your youngest clients for with children's whole life to having, accidental death that goes up to 85. Like, we have a product that will suit all of your clients' need. And we've got a fast, simplified issue underwriting. I know that we are not 100% instant decision, but I want to tell you that that's really important for us to maintain that, because there's a lot of people that in an instant decision situation may get declined that could get approved if you had that kind of. There's so many gray areas and things, like think about the dual medication drugs, your Ozempics and things like that. They're used as a weight loss medication, but they're classified for diabetes, and those things wouldn't get through if we didn't have that process. So, like I said, I'm going to put these up here. So, we've got a sales support team. So, think of sales support as being if you need illustration help, if you are having an event and maybe you want some customized like materials, some mailers and things like that. You can call our customers or our sales support team, and they'll be able to help you with those general questions. Underwriting, if you have questions, I know that sometimes those underwriting requirements don't make sense and you're speaking a foreign language to me. You can call our underwriting team and they can explain, hey, we need XYZ, walk you through it. And then customer service, think of anything post issue, you go through customer service. So those are great resources. And guys, you can get on the phone fairly quickly with our sales team. You're gonna, from what I hear, we're the fastest out there. You're gonna, a couple of minutes versus 30 minutes to an hour is what I've heard. So it's great. So like I said, we've got a simplified issue portfolio, our IUL Express, our Term Life Express, Living Promise, Children's Whole Life. Those are our selection of life products. And then we also have Guaranteed Advantage and Critical Advantage. But today, I really want to focus on our Index Universal Life, if that's any indication of what might be coming up. I think it's really important to do a refresher on our product before I make some announcements. So as you know, our IUL Express 18 to 75. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This is the basic underwriting stuff. You guys know this. You guys are in the underwriting guides daily. These are, 25 up to 300,000, two classes. But really what I want to spend my time today is really just solidifying what an IUL, how it works, and why Mutual of Omaha is the IUL, the simplified issue IUL that you'd sell your mom. So how it works, you quote your clients a premium. So they know that, Marisa told me my premium is going to be $300 a month. That premium consists of two different buckets. You've got your cost of insurance, your fees, your charges, those kind of things. And then you have what's going to the cash accumulation. It's really important to know the difference between the two. In all of our illustrations, you can see that we list out what our cost of insurance is. If there is one thing that I know about Mutual of Omaha, we want to be transparent about that. We're not trying to hide our fees. We're telling you where our indexing strategy rates come from. We're not trying to hide anything. Open, honest is how we are. And then that cash accumulation doesn't go into the market, but that's how we credit against the market. So that's how the premium works. So this is just kind of one example. I know that there are more carriers out there than ever that have a simplified issue IUL. And I always tell people, don't take my word for it. I'm giving you the information. I challenge you guys to go and kind of do comparison between all of your simplified issue IULs. So as you can see here, this is just one example. Again, I'm not the cheapest. I'm not telling you I'm going to be, but I'm a car girl. So let me just kind of explain this to you in kind of those terms. You don't buy a Lamborghini or you don't buy a Prius and expect it to perform like a Lamborghini. So when it comes to your financial future and security, you don't necessarily, not that the cheapest option isn't a good option, because sometimes I am the cheapest one and I do think I'm the best option. But then I'm a little biased. But sometimes the cheapest option when it comes to your financial security and your financial future means paying a little bit more money to find that security. So, as you can kind of just see right here, after 20 years, comparing us to another simplified issue IUL, my premiums are what, 4,000 more? That's over 20 years. So, sticker shock when I say 4,000, but that's over 20 years. I mean, that's like $20 a month. And I don't know about you, but for $20 a month, like I can think of things that I spend on wrong things, $20 a month, one too many Starbucks runs, or, one too many toys for my daughter. But for $20 a month, if you look at this, my charges, my premiums are a little bit more, but my charges and fees, they're less. So what does that mean for the policy? That means more of your client's money is going into that cash accumulation bucket. So yes, the premiums are a little bit higher, but we're trying to do right by your clients, especially if they're looking for that cash accumulation. And this is just on an easy solve. This isn't max funding a policy. This is kind of comparing apples to apples on an easy solve. But where it really comes down to is if somebody's got a cheaper premium, but their cost of insurance and charges are more, it makes it a riskier product. Because as you know, you quote the premium's going to stay the same for that entire lifetime of that policy. Unfortunately, as we get older, the cost of insurance goes up. And so at some point in the policy, we're going to have to dip into that cash accumulation bucket to help cover those. So the less money that you're putting in from day one creates a shortage, and like you're not growing cash value as quickly as you could if more of that money was going into that cash accumulation. And so if you see after 40 years, the competition is already dipping into that bucket. Whereas Mutual of Omaha, we're still flowing in money into that cash accumulation. And this is across the board, regardless of age or gender. We do have the lower cost of insurance. Mutual of Omaha, to my knowledge, don't quote me on this, but I think we are the only insurance carrier that's never raised our cost of insurance. So I know sometimes it's frustrating, like some of our tech isn't up to date, and some of our processes are a little bit slower, but I always tell people we're an insurance company, we're not a tech company, and there are things that maybe we don't update quite so fast because we want to keep these costs of insurance low. We want to be competitive in the market, but there's exciting things coming. So with that, I got some breaking news. One of two. Anybody want to take a guess?
The pre-check's going to include MIB and script.
I wish. I
And the
wish.
face amount, no, the face amount's gonna go up.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So on April 1st, your clients 18 to 50 can now get up to 550,000, 51 to 60, 450,000, and then 61 to 75, 350,000. You guys have been asking, I think, since way before I even came onto the Family First Life account, you guys have been asking, when are you going to make updates? When are you going to increase that face amount? Now I'm excited to say on April 1st, that's going to be an option for you guys. So I'm so excited to share this news with you guys because I know how many times I've come to lock-ins. I've seen you guys at events and you're like, Heather, we really need just a little bit higher face amount. So I did you better. It's not a little bit higher because we are going from 300,000 to 550,000. So I am super excited to announce that. But with that, I have to talk about persistency and placement a little bit because with these higher face amounts also comes higher premiums, which means higher chargebacks if it happens. So higher roll-up debt if you've got a downline. So I really want to talk about that just because it's going to be more important than ever, because just because you have this option doesn't mean you should. So it's really important to remember that and do right by your clients, because I know it can be easy to say, well, they told me that they can do $1,000 a month, but like they're only bringing in $50,000 a year. it's easy. We can be like, yeah, we can get you all this coverage for that amount, but it's really important that we're doing right, really sitting down, taking that information on. So I'm just going to talk about more persistency than anything at this moment. So I like to talk about it in the ways of how it affects all of us, not just mutual, not just you, not just your client. How it impacts all of us, because at the end of the day, this industry wouldn't exist if it weren't for all of us working together. So it's more important than ever to highlight things. So as you know, low persistency, low placement can have negative impacts on all of us. So for Mutual of Omaha, it creates higher operational costs. If things aren't sticking on the books and we're having to run policies over and over and over again, it creates higher operational costs. And at the end of the day, Mutual of Omaha is a business, just like you guys are business owners. Everything has a cost and everybody's in to make money. So I'm always transparent about that. Everybody gets into this industry because we want to make money and do right by people. So it can lead to higher premiums, and I definitely don't want that. And I also want to keep our competitive portfolio. So that's how persistency kind of affects Mutual. Well, how does it affect your client? That's first and foremost. It can impact their future insurability. If you keep writing a client, and I'm not even just saying with Mutual of Omaha, if you write a client multiple times in like a 6 to 12 month period, that is on their MIB. That will hit them. And guess what? At a certain point, a carrier is going to say, nope, that's too much risk. I don't want to insure that person. So you can actually impact their ability to get life insurance by having poor persistency. And I always talk to people, don't rewrite people over and over and over again. At the end of the day, you are a business owner and you have to protect your business too. I know we want to help everybody, and there is a product out there for everybody. But at some point, you have to protect yourself too. So again, it can cause overdraft fees. And I don't know about you, if you've ever had a client that said this wasn't supposed to draft, or why did this draft? I was, negative in my bank account. Now I'm even more negative, and they're coming after you for it. You don't want that. We also don't want that for our clients. And then again, the possibility of just the policy lapsing and putting their financial protection at risk. That's the most important piece. If we make the commitment to write a policy for our client, it's just as important for us to make sure that business stays on the books so something doesn't happen, because a lot of people think about life insurance is what, later down in the line when they die. They don't think about how having life insurance could impact tomorrow. I know some of you, I know Marisa and Rami and Christina, you guys kind of all know. Like I share this because my dad passed away in July at 58 years old. We all thought he was going to live until 70, 80, 90, but unfortunately, he got cancer out of nowhere. We didn't think he was going to do that. He had his life insurance for when he was in his 90s or 100, but he needed to use it at 58 years old. And guess what? Because someone like one of you sat down with my dad, followed up with him annually every other year, he had that policy. And my mom got a check for almost $1 million. Like, that is the most incredible thing. My mom doesn't have to move out of her beautiful lake home. She doesn't have to worry about buying Christmas presents. My mom hasn't worked in 25 years. She doesn't have to worry about going to try and find a job to afford her bills. So those are really important things. And so I know it can be easy to be like, oh, I'll work on those conservation events. And if it slides through the cracks, I'll just rewrite them. No, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. I always like to use the example, if you live in a big city, think about when you're driving home, how many accidents do you see? I don't think that person got in their car and thought I'm not going to make it home today. They absolutely did. So it's really important for your clients that making sure that there's no lapse in those kind of things, so we don't put them at risk. And then for you, obviously, commissions, chargebacks, roll-up debt, no longer qualifying for incentives, and I don't know if any of you have been impacted on this call, but Mutual of Omaha is taking a stance on persistency that, advancing is a privilege, not guaranteed. So, like, if your 3 month persistency is not meeting a certain metric, you're going to get your advancing decreased. It's not because I want to. Trust me, I have people call me all the time, but I don't have a say in that. Like, they look at your persistency, they look at the number, and they say yes or no. It's not, I have a lot of say in a lot of things, but that's not one that I have. And then if it gets bad, they'll terminate you, and I can't save you there either. And I want you all here. I love this team. This is the best team. These are my favorite calls and my favorite events that I get to go to. And so I don't ever want to have to make those calls, but it is happening. And just taking it a step further, not only as you as the producer, but like if you are a manager and an agency owner, it's partly your responsibility too to be, overseeing, making sure, because roll up debt is no fun. No fun at all. We want to hold our team accountable. So with these bigger face amounts, those risks become greater. And so it's more important than ever. But I don't like to just tell you stuff and not give you some tips, because that makes me no good. If I just tell you do better and don't tell you, give you some feedback on how to do that. So one thing that I found is family plans. If you can create a plan for a client, so if you're meeting with, the parents and they've got young kids, okay, why don't we get you life insurance and then tack on, a children whole life for your kids? It's, pennies on the dollar, because people, like, when you package it together and it impacts more than just the individual, people are more likely to keep these things. I have a daughter, and like, she's got plans, I've got plans, and I'm like, I would have to have like one foot in a cardboard box before I'd get rid of either of those, because that decision doesn't just impact me, it impacts my daughter more. And so, making that emotional connection with your clients is really, really important. I know we work fast, we work in a fast-paced environment, but sometimes slowing down and taking a few extra 5 minutes to really paint that story, you're going to make that connection to them. I know that you guys all have concerns. If you don't sell, a certain product, somebody's going to come behind you and undersell you because they have a cheaper option. Address that elephant in your meeting. Be like, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to tell you there are cheaper options out there, but this is why I think this is the best option for you. Like, address it. So that way, if somebody calls your client, they can be like, oh, Marisa told me that, somebody could potentially do that, but I'm happy with what I got. Don't care if you can get me something cheaper, because you solidified that sale. You told them why. And that kind of goes along with the family plan, everything. If you can group everything together and they're all with one company, and I know that that is not always possible, just to different underwriting rules where a mom can get approved and a dad can. But if you can keep them all together, all in one, like, then they feel good. Everybody's all together. So those family plans, like, I know that not everybody's budget allows for that, but that's a great option for you guys to improve your persistency. Again, do best to capture your medical and life insurance history. Some of the big things that I'm seeing is, things that get closed as incomplete or declined. We don't run the MIB until the end. Marisa, I have requested that we move that to the middle. So it's on my, now that some of my top priorities are happening, I need some new ones. So that's on my list as well, to have that move. But like, insurance history, it pops up. You may be sitting down with somebody who is like, oh my goodness, like, I let 5 policies lapse, but they're going to tell you like, no, I've never had life insurance before. It's really important. Don't be afraid to like pull back the layers of an onion, like that Shrek reference, peel back those layers, especially if you get supplemental questions on your application. If you get supplemental questions, there is something that's not aligning. And it's harder than ever now that we're doing telesales, to see those things, or see people's like, body language. You can't see if they're squirming or fidgeting, if they're telling the truth. So like, trust the process. And if those supplemental questions, I know it can be uncomfortable. I mean, when I was selling, God, I struggled to ask people their height and weight. But I quickly learned that the more health questions that you ask, even if they're not on the application, you could still ask those questions. Again, protect your business, because the last thing you want is, the policy for them to, file a claim in 18 months and you didn't answer a question right. You didn't ask the questions. They got approved. And then now you're getting a chargeback from 18 months ago that you're like, oh, I'm in the safe zone. So the more questions you ask, the better. It's scary. I get it. It's not fun. Like, no, talking about people's ailments is never fun. But I think if you position it with your client, hey, the insurance carriers, they're gonna know. And so it's more important than ever that you make sure that, we get all of the proper information, because we want to make sure that at time of claim, whether that's tomorrow, a year from now, 5 years from now, 20 years from now, that there's no question that you were eligible and this is, good coverage for you. So, I mean, it's kind of just boosting up your conversations. You guys are already having the conversations. It's just adding a few little nuanced things to your process already that'll help strengthen that. The big thing, review conservation events, have it on your calendar, whether it's weekly or daily, however you want to do it. But, that is the quickest way to catch, oh, we got the wrong banking information, or it was insufficient funds, for you to get back on the phone with those clients, because the longer you wait, the harder it is to get that business back on the books. So having a process to check those, it's easier than ever now, because you can go into Sales Professional Access and pull the last 30 days of conservation events in an Excel file. It used to be you had to look up every day. I'm sure you guys remember, like, when you had to look up each day and there was no way to pull a comprehensive report. Well, now you have that access, so utilize it. I talked about this a little bit. Don't let rewriting clients again and again and again drag you down. I use an example that I think like 6 months ago, I was talking to an agent and they're like, Heather, I'm down to like 3 month advancing and I don't know what's going on. And then we started talking about, like, well, what are your business practices? We came to find out that he had rewrote the same client 4 or 5 different times and all of them lapsed or canceled. And I'm like, well, there's your problem. Protect your business. I mean, it's the definition of insanity, of like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Not saying that people can't change, but again, you have to have your standard on what you are willing to do and what you're willing to sacrifice, because there's a sacrifice to that. Potential chargebacks impacting your persistency, those kind of things. So it's like knowing where your line is. And then when in doubt, refer to your upline, reach out to myself, reach out to Jonathan. We are here to help you with that. If you're like, Heather, I don't know what's going on, we'll dig into your book of business and we'll see, like, hey, I noticed this is happening a lot. So maybe you need to ask a few more questions in this area, whether it's, the insurance history, or, hey, review these health questions a little bit more when you're talking to your clients. So I think it's good. These are all good tips. They're not everything. I'm sure you guys have more insight, but I always like to provide you something. I don't like to tell you, like, hey, you need to make sure to do this, and not give you the tools to do it. And the great thing with persistency too is we have a bonus. And the bonus is you have to have a 70% placement or better. As we continue to better our pre-qual, I see more people hitting the placement number, because that is the biggest kicker. But this is every quarter. If you do 25,000 in simplified issue production, excluding children's whole life, because we do not include children's whole life in your persistency metric. And the reason we took that out is because if you've got a family with 6 kids and you write 6 children's whole policies and all 6 cancel, that is a big hit to your persistency. So we felt it did better for you guys, for us to remove that. So it doesn't count toward the bonus. But then if you have a quality persistency of 90% or better for your 3-month, you get a 10% bonus. Every quarter, no cap. If you have impeccable 3-month persistency, you'll get an extra 2%. So if you're not quite there yet and you need something to like push yourself forward, because I don't know about you, like I have to like treat myself and like find ways to like push myself to do certain things. So like if you're struggling, and you're like, okay, I really need to focus on my persistency because I could get a $10,000. I mean, we pay hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to you guys for your business. And we can't take that money back. There's not a chargeback for the bonus. So it's your money. And so I always encourage people to look at this, take a look at your business because, it all kind of flows together. But I got one more thing. What do you guys really want? What is one thing you guys have been
Pin,
telling me?
pin,
What was that, Jesse?
pin, pin signature. You asked.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's
April,
go.
April 15th, you will have access to a
What
6-digit PIN
up?
code. So April 1st, increase face, April 15th, text code. The two things that you guys have been asking for I don't know, who knows, since the beginning of the IULE. Now this is only going to be for Term Life Express, Final Living Promise, and IULE, but those are the big products. You will have access to a 6-digit code. So it'll be exactly what you're used to using with some of your other carriers that have it. So I am hopeful that this will make doing business with Mutual of Omaha better for you, better for your clients, but also easier for you. Because I know I've sat in meetings and there have been people that are like, Heather, look, I can see I can't get a text code or I can't get the text to work. Well, now there shouldn't be any more issues because it's going to be what you guys wanted. So I'm giving you guys what you wanted. So hopefully that means more Mutual of Omaha business now that it's going to be easier than ever. Yes, no more pop-up blocker issues. No more trying to have to explain to a 70-year-old lady how to go into incognito mode or turn off her cookies and things like that. You're not going to have to do that anymore. So I am so excited to share this with you guys. There hasn't been any big changes to our products in a long time. And so I'm so excited for this. And I hope that this is the start to something bigger, that you're going to see more changes than you've seen in a long time from Mutual of Omaha. But I feel like this is a good start going into the second quarter to have these two options.
This is amazing, and I'm super, super excited right now, Heather. I don't think, and if I'm being I don't think I've ever been this excited for Mutual of Omaha, and I'm just being really transparent. Like,
Me
guys,
either.
like
This is the most
this is
excited I've
huge.
been.
This is huge. This is so huge. Eric did ask a question. For the text code, is it going to be like the pin in the middle and then the pin at the end, like two
Yeah.
different codes?
Yep, it'll be two different. So you'll still have the HIPAA one for the prequel, and then you'll have the one at the end. But yes, both will be the 6-digit code. So it's going to, yes, it's going to save so much time and so much frustration because I've felt your frustrations. I've been feeling it vicariously through you guys for the last 2 years. So yes, I've never been more excited and more jazzed about what Mutual of Omaha is bringing to the table, to not only be competitive, but we're competitive, but we don't sacrifice the quality in our products to make these things happen. So there was a lot of work that went into this. And you guys know, I've told you guys, I think if you would have asked me a year ago if either of these things would happen, I probably would have told you like, no, probably not. And so like to sit here a year later and be like announcing these things, announcing the two things that you guys have wanted, it just makes my heart happy. It makes me so excited. And your response is exactly what I was hoping for. Because these changes wouldn't have happened if it weren't for you guys coming to us and saying like, no, we need this. Like, Heather, you want more business. You want us to do business. We want to do business with you, but we can't unless we have these things. And so, like, having these things now, I mean, it means the world to me. And I'm sure it definitely means so much to you guys. But we wouldn't have done this without you guys.
Thank you so much, Heather. This has been absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for both of these things, that from the text code to the increase on the face, and just also like thankful that, you guys as reps care enough to bring it to the insurance company and get things done one thing at a time, but you're always getting it done. And Heather, to your point, you're like, if you had asked me a year ago, I would have been like, probably not. And I remember we were at a lock-in and you were basically like, yeah, I mean, probably not. Like, we're not really like in a rush to do that. And then, here we are, like less than a year later, and, changes are being made. So we definitely feel heard as an agent force, and we're excited. I know we're going to be, I can speak for, I'll be writing a lot more Mutual of Omaha, and the group will too. So I'm excited.
I love
I
to
really
hear
am.
that. And if you guys have any questions, I know Jonathan put his contact information in the chat. I'll throw my email in there, but don't hesitate to reach out. As I get more marketing materials and things like that, I will make sure to pass that along to all of you, just so once we have all of those things. We just got notification that to start talking about it at the beginning of March. So I had reached out that to Marisa right away, and I was like, hey, when can I get on your agency call? Like, I want to get on this call so I can share this great news. So thank you guys so much for having myself, and I'm excited for Jonathan to get to know all of you as well, so we can continue growing this partnership.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And Jonathan, welcome, and we're excited to have you. Thank you.
Thank
All
you,
right.
guys. I felt the love from the very, very beginning. Thank you so much, Heather, for reaching out. And also, I am very, very happy coming this April. A lot of great things are going to be coming. I can't wait.
Amen. And Heather, one last thing I do want to ask you before you jump off. I just think this will help some people that are on the call right now. So you have brought up, persistency, obviously super, super important. Now, and you brought up underwriting in the beginning. Now, typically when things go to underwriting, Heather, would it be fair to say that it's usually because of something like they have a previous insurance that wasn't listed, or there's something on the application that's not matching up health-wise?
I mean, it could be both. So when we're our prequal, it's running med data in the prescription right then and there. But your client still, after you get that prequal, which if you get the red box that says unfavorable, I mean, I can't tell you that you can't, but I highly recommend, if you get the red box of doom, is what I call it, to not submit it. You have like a 0.005% chance of it actually getting through. And like, that's coming from, I'm a gambling woman. I love Las Vegas. It's one of my favorite places, but like those odds are really bad. So like if you get a unfavorable, or you get favorable graded, and that's not what your client wants, back out at that point. Don't move forward, because then it's like it never existed. It's not hitting your client's MIB. It's like Harry Potter. It's poof, gone, like never existed. So if you want to avoid that, but another thing is like, yeah, we're running MIB on the back end, and MIB is going to potentially be your insurance codes, claim hits, those kind of things. That necessarily wouldn't be found on the med data. So that's why you'll see things get either still get closed as incomplete or declined at the end, because we don't have all of the information. But insurance history is a big one. But yeah, typically it's something isn't matching. So they answer, so think of it as like, the tobacco question. They said, no, I haven't smoked in 12 years or ever, but we've got a doctor's hit that says like, no, you were just at the doctor 6 months ago and you said you were using a vape, which is a tobacco product. So it's different things like that. There's no like right or wrong kind of issue, that's causing it. But I think the biggest thing is like paying attention to those supplemental questions will kind of help you navigate that. Because if they lie on the application, like, we're going to close it as incomplete, but maybe if they would have answered correctly, it would have gone through. Or maybe they misspoke on the application and they were going towards graded, but we found something and then we just end up going like, nope, they didn't answer the questions correctly. We're going to back out at that point. So honesty is the best policy from the get-go with Mutual of Omaha.
Absolutely. That answered my question. Heather, thank you so much. I really appreciate you, all of your time, help through the years. And years to come. And, Jonathan, again, looking forward to working with you as well. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you guys.
Yes.